This week's been a real doozy for Democrats. It's been almost as bad as it was for CBS. The latest Waltz gaffe, though, happened to be on CBS, no less. I'll get to that in a sec. Waltz, the other night, said that we have to eliminate the Electoral College. I think it was at Gavin Newsom's house, okay? So lots of Democrats have said this, but this morning, I guess the campaign got in his ear and had to walk it back in like the worst way possible.
I want to go back to something you said on Tuesday. You said, I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go. But the campaign came out later that night, and they said that's not their stance.
Yeah. Well, it's not the campaign's position. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's folks that feel every vote must count in every state.
So that's something that you and Vice President Harris disagree on?
I have spoken about it in the past, that she's been very clear on this, and the campaign, and my position is the campaign's position.
Okay. I mean, it's on ABC, actually. But Kamala, you got your self-proclaimed knucklehead VP. Okay, he calls himself that. And he's making statements that are not on the campaign's position. Okay, whatever. I mean, do you. I hope you lose anyway. But the fact that this even happened, okay, is even more ironic. The place, like this CBS, by the way, has been trying to clean all of this up for the Harris campaign. They're just like falling on their sword of integrity for this campaign. This week alone, they have also disciplined one of their anchors for what I thought was asking like a legit question, where he was like, he asked some author, was like, hey, you don't think Israel should exist? Why? It made him explain it. They had to bring in like grief counselors for the staff, a bunch of other super melodramatic stuff. We also covered how they completely edited one of Kamala's answers on the issue. There was an answer she gave to a completely different question, and they plugged it in to make her look less nuts.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
That was the answer to a different question. Like, Trump is having a field day with this, by the way. I was racking my brain trying to think why a network that used to be the gold standard in journalism would do this. I Googled a few things, and then it hit me. Because they have no morals. In 2018, remember this? They had to pay out $30 million over sexual misconduct against their CEO, Les Moonves, if you recall. On top of that, there was like another executive that knew all about these allegations, never said anything, but just very quietly sold a bunch of stock right before he knew that would go public. By the way, that investigation turned up a ton of other misconduct internally that was like racism, misogyny from other senior executives. I mean, it's right there on the screen, LA Times. So in an effort to distract from how bad they are at everything, they put this tweet out, okay, whining about how prestigious they think they are. This is why I hate journalists. Look, for more than half a century, the majority party candidates for president have sat down with 60 Minutes. This year, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump accepted our invitation. Unfortunately, last week, Trump canceled. I mean, like, the hubris of these people is beyond me. I demand we get an interview because we've always gotten them. Really? Then be honest about stuff. And then they say that Trump campaign shifting narratives as to why there's no shifting narratives. They just didn't want to, well, the Trump campaign didn't want to do it. And they just didn't want to address why he canceled. He canceled because he wanted an apology.
They came to me and would like me to do an interview, but first I want to get an apology because the last time I did an interview with them, if you remember, they challenged me on the computer. They said the laptop from hell was from Russia. And I said it wasn't from Russia, it was from Hunter.
Of course, 60 Minutes will never apologize for any of that. No one will. They still won't acknowledge they were wrong.
And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie.
You know what you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake with the media?
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe you.
I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what you told me.
You've discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Leslie, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has. okay?
That's not
Instead
mean.
of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy. You know, you discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
So this story about Hunter and his laptop, some repair shop found it. The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
I don't know anything about
And
that.
you're
I just know it's a
making-
laptop.
and
And they-
Some repair shop? You mean a place where Hunter Biden dropped off his laptop with a receipt signed by Hunter Biden with Hunter Biden's phone number on it, with pictures on the laptop of Hunter Biden doing crack? Yeah, okay, we all know that's real, but he also wanted another apology from Leslie Stahl about something else she was wrong about.
You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't
No, you
verify.
won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't
Look, let
put
me tell
on
you.
things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
Yeah. It has been verified now. But back then in 2020, she was like trying to find a shred of journalistic integrity. All of a sudden, you couldn't verify the Steele dossier, but you just ran with that one anyway. Meanwhile, for the fourth time this week, Kamala Harris is trying to clean up her disastrous media tour by doing another town hall, this time on Univision, which doesn't even speak English. And I noticed something hilarious.
Unlike my opponent, who got handed $400 million on a silver tray and filed for bankruptcy 6 times, most people don't have that access.
Did you catch the woman over her shoulder? She was lipping exactly what Kamala Harris was saying. Now, look, the internet is picking this apart, but I think it's actually the simplest answer here, and it's the most damning. The fact that Kamala Harris is so unoriginal that there is a woman mouthing speech along with her. I'm not talking about slogans. I'm talking about like an answer to a question means that she is so unoriginal that she has to say the same thing so many times that people in the audience can recite it. Putin's just going to nuke us if she becomes president. The other thing about the town hall was that some of these people were speaking in Spanish, and this was great. They would translate it, and then Kamala would come back, and then they would have to translate whatever Kamala was saying back into Spanish. Could you imagine being that translator and be like, what? ¿Qué es eso? What did she say? Like, nobody can understand her gibberish anyway in English. That was the cleanup for this.
I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of. But also, I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people.
What? None of that was. No wonder Obama is out there practically begging black people to show up for Kamala.
Not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
I mean, he went on to say, and this is him saying it, quote, brothers aren't coming out for Kamala like they did for me. Well, maybe that's because Kamala threw every black person that came in front of her in jail, sometimes for the most minor drug offenses, and then went on a podcast, would brag about doing exactly what she ruined so many other black people's lives over. And the fact that Obama doesn't understand this is crazy to me. Look, black people came out in the highest numbers I have ever seen for Barack Obama under 2 banners. One, that he would be the first black president, even though he's half black. And 2, because he sold an unrealistic dream, and as a relatively unknown senator for less than 2 years, he could, because he had nothing to fall back on. But the fact that the Democrats, the Democratic Party, treat black people like some voter section in a vacuum that is committed to them, it's mind-boggling to me. I just want to grab Obama by the shoulders and be like, black people buy groceries too. They're not going to vote for you because you say nice things that make them pay more for gas. It is so insane. Democrats have run such a campaign to keep black people dependent on the government that the second Trump came along and got record low black unemployment, and then he said, hey, Democrats have been lying to you for like 50 years. They started panicking. That's why Obama is out there on the trail now, trying to recoup some of that. But you know what does concern a lot of the black community right now? Exactly what Trump was just talking about before I started this. In Aurora, Colorado, where the Operation Aurora, where he's going to just get rid of a bunch of these people using a law from 1798 because they're taking jobs, they're taking housing, they're ruining economies and communities. Kind of the answer was here all along. But my man is going to start using a 225-year-old law to deport people that shouldn't have been here in the first place, that is going to help the black community. And the black community realizes that. That's why so many black people are like, get me another MAGA shirt. Unbelievable.